You are watching The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, your escape to reality.
Hi.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to
Steve always likes to make you uncomfortable in the beginning.
No, he's a busy man.
He's waiting for the actual scene to open up. You guys don't see it.
I'm looking at the stream so I could see when we're actually here.
Oh, I never do that.
Yeah, the nice delay there.
Yeah.
What do you got to get technical or something? I mean,
So in this week's live stream, Bob is playing himself, as you could see.
Never looked better, Bob.
Yeah.
you know what's funny, Bob?
That
right
keto's
now,
working out.
Bob's camera actually shows more of him than it does when he's actually sitting there and he's alive. Usually with Pamela, when Bob is usually doing the live stream, his head is in the lower right-hand corner.
Right.
And everything else is Halloween crap across his whole screen.
It's Bob usually.
Yeah, right. That's Bob. Hey, Bob.
No Halloween garbage here. Yeah, so I figure, I like being on the Skeptics. My brothers are cool and everything, but I don't know.
He'd rather we talk to his props and decorations than
right?
almost.
Yeah.
So we're joined, as you could see, by Pamela Gay. Pamela, it's wonderful to have you on our live stream.
Oh, it's so great
cool.
to be back. It's been far too long since we all caught up.
Totally.
Yeah, I know. We were chatting beforehand how we're all, ensconced in our caves, huddling away from the pandemic. But, you don't get out there that much, Like, if it wasn't for Nexus, George, I wouldn't have seen you for almost a year.
Yeah, totally.
Since the last time we did an extravaganza.
I talked about this on my show this week. I had this kind of weird thing that happened to me on Monday. I was out for a walk. It was a day like today, sort of. It's kind of gray, rainy. You kind of get that, you don't have a sense of the whole world. It's just you have kind of the fog and you have a circle around you. It's probably half mile or whatever it may be. And I was walking around and just my lap that I do every day, kind of just not even a half mile or whatever, just to kind of air out my brain before I turn my computer off and go next door and have dinner and stuff. And this thought occurred to me as I was walking alone through Bethlehem, late, sort of, 7 o'clock. It's just as the sun's going down. And I thought, like, what if back in March, this pandemic occurred and we all died?
Yeah.
And now we're all like in limbo. We're all in some kind of purgatory, some kind of,
it's like
feels
that
like
movie.
a
There's a
Barzakh.
movie where the afterlife is like real life, but worse.
Yeah.
But it
And
just
it's
sucks a little
worse.
bit more than it.
But worse.
And I started thinking about
Yeah.
it, and I tell you, for a second, I freaked myself out. For like half a second, I freaked myself out because I started thinking, like, time doesn't feel the same, like the days kind of all turn into one long day, one short day. The summer is was here, and summer's kind of gone. And then, like, you watch, and like all the politicians are behaving in ways they've never behaved before, and the discourse is like really strange, and you don't feel safe, but you do feel safe in your home, and it's familiar, but it's different. And I'm like, we've all been dead for 7 months. And like, what's next?
We joked about that, something along those lines on the show not too long ago. Like, imagine talking to your 2015 self, and trying to convince them that 2020 is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, would you be able to convince yourself that this is real?
Yeah.
I have to say, my favorite theory I've heard so far is that time travel is real, and people keep going back to the beginning of 2020 to try and fix things, and just keep making it worse.
Oh my God, that
it.
explains everything.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, we have like really bad butterfly effect all
Yeah.
over the place. Like shit's just going
Yeah.
wrong. Well, I mean, the weirdest thing to me, COVID, I can wrap my head around it because it didn't take much to screw up the response to COVID, right? You really have to, like, especially with someone like Trump in the helm, like, this is what happens when you do nothing. It's not
Yes.
that, but the real crazy thing, which I never would have believed, is Trump and everything that we've had to deal with and all the insanity that comes along with this administration and
Yeah.
everything. I mean, every day I learn something else that has been done that blows my mind. That's unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable that the United States finds
endless
itself there.
cascade, the endless
Yeah.
cascade of like bad decision, bad decision, bad decision, bad decision, no decision, no decision, no decision, stupid decision, stupid decision. It's like that's what's because everyone has bad decisions. Everyone makes bad stuff. Everyone doesn't do is irresponsible every now and then. That just happens. But that there is this like continuous feeling of global irresponsibility.
Yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
bad decision. It's a pathology.
Right.
It's the whole
it crosses
process
over into that. Yeah.
is pathological, and it poisons everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just everything.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. We like to give the COVID numbers while we
Yep.
start. Anybody glance at the numbers recently? So 39 million, almost 40 million people around the world have the infection.
Yeah.
1.1 million global dead, 17,000 US. And we're definitely now, it's clear now, it's always hard to know when you get those fluctuations, but it's clear now that we're in a third peak. This third peak is coming in the US. We had the spring peak, then it dropped a little bit, then we had a bigger summer peak, and then it kind of waned a little bit. Now we're getting a fall peak. Still don't know if I think people are still calling it the first wave. It's like the third peak of the first wave, whatever, semantics. But we don't know if there's going to be further waves. Do you know how many, I probably said this before, what percentage of respiratory pandemics in the past have had multiple waves?
I don't know.
All of them.
All of
say
them,
all of them,
100%.
Right.
100%. So,
Okay. So
And-
this
and
is going to
those
have it too.
numbers-
No doubt about it.
yeah.
And those numbers you quoted don't include the statistical corrections for the higher number of deaths that occurred this year over past historical averages that indicate that there were a lot of undiagnosed deaths due to COVID.
Yeah, we talk about that on the show this week that's coming out tomorrow. We do a deep dive on the numbers, but yeah, it's like over 320,000 excess deaths in the U.S. compared to the official numbers, and I talk about like where those numbers are coming from and how they count them and everything. It's actually fairly complicated, but yeah, the 217,000 excess deaths or the 1.1 million worldwide that's confirmed COVID cases. That's not excess deaths from the pandemic, which is probably 50% more than those official numbers, and probably higher in third world countries. We were just talking about the U.S. because that's where the study data was from, but the UN estimates that the pandemic will push something like 200 million people into poverty around the world that would have been coming out of poverty or that were just lifted out of poverty.
Yeah, the long-term effects are
Yes.
staggering.
Right. And of course,
actually.
that statistic was immediately misinterpreted by conservatives as saying that economic shutdowns are doing that, but it's not. It's the pandemic that's doing that.
Yeah.
It's everything involved with the pandemic. Again, the touches on the fact that the economic shutdown is partly due to people just like not risking their life to go catch a flick, or go out to a restaurant. And you can't just turn the economy back on with a pandemic raging. You have to fix the pandemic to get the economy going again. But anyway.
Steve, how come the initial shutdown that we had here in the United States didn't fix the
It was too little too late. They waited too long and they stopped it too early. But also, it wasn't just that. And I just reviewed this data again because this was the astounding failure in the United States. So they were just a little too slow to start, first of all. But even if they you give them that. It's like, okay, they took them a couple of weeks more than it should have to really shut things down. The problem was, and the real difference between us and other countries with similar numbers and wealth or whatever, other Western industrialized nations, was that we didn't, so the whole point of the shutdown was to buy time. And it was to buy us time so that we could then get our shit together and come out of the shutdown with, people, everyone wearing masks and social distancing, which, that people were more or less doing, but not there wasn't any nationwide mandates, which there should have been, but also with testing and contact tracing. And we dropped the ball on testing and we dropped the ball on contact tracing. So then, the only thing the federal government really was doing was pressuring states to come out of their shutdown too early with zero support, really, for testing and contact tracing. So we didn't use the time. And what people predicted was, if we don't use our time well, we're not going to flatten the curve. We are going to delay the curve. But it's just, as soon as we lift the shutdown, the restrictions, we're going to get hit with a bigger wave. And that's exactly what happened. This summer, we got hit with a bigger wave, where when other countries like Germany or whatever, they were trailing off and getting back to normal, we were getting hit with this second peak because we completely blew opening up. We wasted our shutdown and we completely failed. And there's really no other way to characterize what happened unless you're living in, Republican fantasy land. Really sad.
And the part that's horrifying is that, like, there is no learning from the mistakes of the past. Like, intelligent people and critically thinking people can look back on what's happened and go, well, that didn't work. Let's do something else, right? Like, maybe now's the time to listen to scientists. We did it your way, and shit just keeps rolling down the hill.
And it's worse than that. I read an interview recently with somebody who's a medical expert who left the administration, and basically saying, we watched this happen in real time. It's not like you're looking back and go, okay, that we did some things wrong, let's fix it. It's like, no, they're like, this is happening. We're doing this wrong. You have to do this. And they were being ignored and sidelined, and then eventually pushed out of the administration completely. Anybody with any independent thought or any pushback is gone. They're gone. There's only yes men left behind. Yeah. And again, while they were there, they were just sort of watching this rolling disaster happen in real time.
What has me really confused is, if you go back and you read about the Black Plague, someone gets the plague and they're like, you banished. And they isolated, they set fire to things. You look at tuberculosis, it was the same, well, less setting fire, but there was the isolation. Through history, people seem to understand, if someone gets sick, you isolate them. And at the very beginning of this, I remember being horrified to read stories of massive quarantines, of all the contacts to people that got exposed in Los Angeles. And somewhere along the line, we essentially gave up.
Yeah. I mean, when you say gave up, that means you needed to have cared at some point. When you look at the government, the government has given no indication at all that there's been 1/2 a second of care about the people that live in this country. It never even entered my mind. I remember the first few weeks I'm watching the TV going, and where's your plan? Okay, so what's the plan? All right, now say the plan. And he has these meetings, and every time he has one of these meetings, and Fauci is standing over his shoulder, smirking when he says dumb things. Now, and then at one point I realized, holy Christ, there is no fucking plan.
Yeah.
And right now,
there wasn't one.
There was no plan. There is no plan.
It was let the states work it out for themselves, but they didn't have the power or the authority to do what needed to be done. And they ended up fighting with each other over resources, and it was a mess.
Yeah.
It was a total mess.
Do you think if there had been a more unified, let's say, mask message from the top down, that the messaging that's happening now about freedom equals mask not wearing, do you think that still would have happened, or would have been delayed, or would have been non-existent?
So we know that existed with the 1918 flu pandemic. There was an anti-mask league, and there was this pushback against mask wearing. So I think there's probably would have been some of that. But I mean, it's hard to imagine that having the president be an anti-mask wearing loon didn't have a dramatic effect. And turning it into a culture war, turning it into a tribal symbol is made it. Probably at least an order of magnitude or multiple orders of magnitude worse than it would have been. But it would have been on the fringe, sure, if even without
when this
that
all
signal from the
started
top.
back in March, I remember having a conversation thinking in a weird way, maybe it's a mixed blessing that the president is who he is, because if anyone could convince fringe people to wear masks and socially distance, he could do it. I remember thinking like maybe it'll be presented that way and that'll be sort of quelled because all of the kind of Q brains will think, all right, well, he's doing it, so we'll do it.
You mean if he used his power for good instead of evil?
Even like I mean, that's my own ignorance, right? The most base level of just like, all right, maybe if there's any kind of a mixed blessing, it's that if anyone can talk to these people, he can, and he'll say, or at least his administration will say.
Because of course he's going to say wear a mask. I mean, why would he?
Like at the very least, right? And of course, nope, the total opposite. So again, us trying to convince ourselves just from 8 months ago, hell with 2015, just a year ago, Halloween last year, if you had said, hey, guess what's going to happen?
So you guys clearly did not read enough Tom Clancy growing up, because then you would have anticipated that this is just the plot of some horrible political thriller in which at some point Jack Ryan will emerge and the government will be overthrown, except apparently we have to wait for the sequel and we're still in the initial book and there's going to be a cliffhanger ending.
Yeah. Yes. The cliffhanger ending, I think, is going to be post-election, the insanity of the post-election. So one thing I was talking to Steve today, because we like to exchange news items that we read. And I want to make a statement about people who are not considered Democrats or liberal or whatever. There are people who are very strongly, independent / whatever all the different labels we can use. You have conservatives, you have independents, you have moderates. And I think it's important for us to remember that all conservatives are not bad people, right? Like we have to be the adults in this equation. There are conservatives out there that just happen to have philosophically, they have conservative values, which are completely fine. They are completely fine. It's just different economics, different ways of spending money. Whether they're right or wrong doesn't matter. What matters is that we realize that we can't demonize everybody. The only people I'm demonizing, and I think completely justifiably so, are people who support Trump. Not all conservatives or all people who are under the Republican label. I'm not a Democrat in my heart. I'm a registered Democrat now because I really don't have any goddamn options. But I'm a moderate. By all measures, I'm a moderate. I'm not a flaming anything. You know what I mean? I'm not crazy to the left, crazy to the right. I'm a moderate. Everything.
Well, one kind of flame,
but the point is we have to come out of this election as the adults. And as the people who are speaking common sense and speaking about putting things back together, it's very easy. I'm so pissed off I can't sleep. I'm losing my mind over what's going on. But I'm also looking forward to trying to capture the reins back into our hands. And who's going to do it? And how's it going to happen? It can't happen if everybody hates the other half of everybody, right? We have to do it by talking to people and being able to get back to some type of normalcy.
It could be tiring to always have to be the adult in the room, but you got to do it. You got to do it.
And this is where compassion plays such an important degree, is we don't have to agree with everyone, but we have to be compassionate. And somewhere along the lines, it became an us versus them instead of all of us on this planet together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And all I can hope for is that somewhere along the lines, we go back to a system in which saying you belong to a party is simply a shorthand for I am pro spending money on this and against spending money on that versus I am only out for the other people wearing the same label, and we go back to being able to have bipartisan or multi-partisan discussions. And my hope out of this, which I have no reason to believe is going to be fulfilled, my pointless hope is that maybe in the future we'll go to a multi-party system and this bicameralness will be destroyed a bit.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even possible because it's so deeply seated in our
No, the
government.
rules would have to change. It can't happen with our current system.
Yeah, everything would have to change.
I want to get back to Tom Clancy a little bit, though.
Okay.
Tie two things together.
Tom Clancy.
Because I do like political dramas. I watched House of Cards all the way through, even after they got rid of, what's his name? And then, Homeland is a good series as well.
Yeah.
And what I noticed in the last couple of years is that these shows have become unwatchable. Because no matter what they do, it's not as dramatic as reality. They seriously, they can't do anything that's like before they would push the limits, like, ooh, like what's going to happen? Imagine if that happened, and now there's no place for them to go. There's literally no place for them to go. They're like, that's last Tuesday. That's so nothing. And so it's boring, and if they and there's no room, they can't. There's no room for them left because there's nothing,
I know,
beyond.
Steve. It's
you
like
have to go to The Handmaid's Tale to get beyond where we are now.
It's like growing up on porn and expecting your sex life to be like that.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Sorry, it's like that's about as extreme. So I
no,
hear
no,
you.
it's more like living in a cat house and then watching porn for entertainment. It's like no, it's like I got it.
Yeah.
In real life.
That is the analogy.
Cat house? Is that the term you use, Steve? Cat house?
That's
that's
family
fantastic.
friendly. Family
Yes,
friendly.
a cat house.
House of ill repute.
After Steve has his ether frolic, he goes to the cat house.
The
That's
bath.
Tell me
fantastic.
you've never used that term, George.
Cat house? Yeah, no, not since 1904. But then, no, it's good. Good for you.
Don't you have a
man.
song called
bad.
Cat House? No.
You want to go get a phosphate, and then we can go to the cat house after that, maybe?
Have a bicarbonated soda?
Have a bicarbonated soda and egg cream, and then we can go to the cat house.
At the counter
Oh my
at the
gosh.
drugstore.
You know what? And I'll bring my issues of Collier's magazine along. How about that? We'll do that, and maybe the Saturday Evening Post, and we can compare notes at the cat house.
Wow.
I love it. I love it. I love it. We're gonna bring that back. We're gonna bring back
Yes.
cat house.
All right, let's move on from the cat house talk, and let's go over to Evan's puzzle. I've been looking at it. I'm trying to figure this thing out.
Ooh, puzzle already. Okay.
Hey, a lot of people have already figured it out. Some
I'm
people
trying-
accused it of being too easy this week.
I didn't see the answer yet, so I still don't know the answer. So you want to give us a description here?
Sure. Well, we've got obviously two columns, one with the designation over here and a number associated with it over here. So there's obviously a pattern here, and it descends. So top is V1, and then after that's P10 and so forth. You can read that. But what do these mean? What do these represent? For various reasons, a lot of people guessed correctly. I know Nicholas was very quick on our Discord channel. He got it in 2 seconds.
I got
Give
nothing.
everyone else a chance to answer.
I have nothing. I can't even.
Well, when you think V1, V2, what do you think?
Rockets.
Yes.
Okay, close. Very on the right. You're totally on the right track.
Ooh, cat house.
Oh, this got cold. there.
Christ.
V1, V.
Oh, Pioneer.
Missiles?
right,
Right.
George.
Oh.
Pioneer, and then the what's the
spacecraft, New Horizons. It's the
New
most distant
Horizons.
spacecraft
Yeah.
That's right. The 5 most
So
distant
those are the-
spacecraft.
five
in
most
astronomical
distant-
units.
Good.
Very
That's
good.
a good puzzle. Ev.
Very good.
Oh, Voyager.
Right.
I'm
Voyager
thinking
one,
of
Voyager
rockets over London. That's what I'm thinking of.
Carl's thinking
those
just
on
knocking
ground.
from the grave. Jesus Christ.
See, I went to New Hampshire for
wow.
NH and
Me
never
too.
recovered
Yeah.
from
That was it.
Yeah, I'm like Poland
And
and
New Hampshire.
Vermont. What does Poland and Vermont have to do with it? Is
The
this
Pennsylvania 10th
syrup
district has 125 voters in it. What? So good job, lots of people.
That was a good
And
puzzle.
What are the units?
AU,
Evan?
AU.
Oh, okay.
astronomical
Anatomical
units.
units.
Gold.
George.
They're gold units, right?
That's right, gold units. I was thinking of putting a hint in there about gold, but I figured this was enough, and it was
That's
enough.
cool. Very nice.
So
Now,
fun.
Bob, what's your puzzle there?
Yeah, Bob,
What
let's see what you got going on here.
You've got a pumpkin, and it's some kind of Are you flossing more, Bob? Because it's really something's coming across.
I just noticed.
Yeah, George, I'm actually flossing a lot.
There's a head behind the
Behind
mannequin.
the head.
I just noticed
Oh,
that.
nice.
all.
Oh,
I
he's
didn't see
got
that.
a
Ooh.
little
that
shoulder
is.
action there. Yes.
Leave it to Bob. So Pamela, what's the latest with
Yes.
you? Like I want a true update on what you've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years.
Oh wow. So I
20 seconds, go.
back,
Or months. You know.
Back in January 2019, I moved to the Planetary Science Institute where I'm a senior scientist and I'm doing a lot of support science staff in addition to continuing to direct our projects with CosmoQuest. And we have a super exciting set of things all happening next week. So last summer, our community mapped out, I kid you not, 17 million things on the surface of the asteroid Bennu.
Wow.
We marked rocks, we measured the size of boulders, we identified craters, 17 million lines in the database.
Whoa.
And all that data helped NASA and the OSIRIS-REx team find someplace on this rubble pile of a rock-throwing asteroid. It helped them find a safe place that they can go down with the OSIRIS-REx mission and grab a sample to bring back to Earth. And next week, that's happening.
Oh my
So
God.
on Tuesday, the OSIRIS-REx mission is going to be dropping down into the Nightingale crater, deploying its tag instrument, grabbing, we hope, some debris from the surface to bring back in 2023. And then next weekend, after we get through that, we're doing the Hangout-a-thon for CosmoQuest, which is going to be 36 hours of guests, giveaways, and we're building a scale model of the solar system in Minecraft so you can see for yourself just how empty space actually is.
Oh yeah, I love when they do those demonstrations in the desert. They have the big ball that's the sun, and then they start putting they have to drive in a truck like
Nevada
many
to
miles
New York.
away.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking how big is the sun going to be in Minecraft?
I want to say that it's huge. The first 2 digits are 2 and 0, and I can't remember if there's 2 or 3 digits after it. Jupiter's 256 blocks on the scale we're using.
Okay, all right.
Wow.
So the sun is
So
going to
it's
be
big.
huge.
Have you ever
Yes,
seen that
yes.
website where you're traveling at the speed of light from the sun
Yes.
out of the solar system?
super
That
cool.
blew my mind because I have a
Super
pretty good
cool.
sense of
Yes.
scale for
It's
things.
mostly nothing.
But you're like, wow, Mercury's really far from the sun. You think of it as being close, but like you're traveling at the speed of light, and it's so far away.
Yeah,
It really is. It gives you just stick it out to Mars, and it really does
my
give you a
gosh.
huge sense
Yeah.
of scale.
Well,
of
it's
the
8
solar
minutes to
system.
Earth, right? Roughly
Yeah.
8 minutes.
Yeah.
There's no instant gratification in astronomy. Everything is waiting. Light takes
gosh.
time.
Yeah.
So wait, Pamela, as a senior scientist, can you explain why it's so cold in here?
Well,
Why does
clearly the
my
particles in-
remote not work? I need a senior
You're-
scientist.
So the cold.
Why is
The
it
cold
so
is because the particles are moving too slowly.
Yes.
What?
You
Why
need
can't
to
I hear
add
you?
energy.
What?
You can't hear me because the sound isn't vibrating your eardrum, and your remote doesn't work because it isn't giving off the right wavelength of light, or maybe any light, because you might just need to put new batteries in it.
Okay. What's this thing in my pants? Is that good news or bad news?
I'm hoping for your sake that it's good news, but
Okay.
I lack data. I lack data.
Thankfully. And George, what are you up to?
Wait. Don't talk, George.
No,
I have to
no. Stick
respond
with
to Pamela real
Stick
quick.
with Pamela. It's way more interesting.
So Pamela, in
Way more interesting.
2023, they're going to bring back the sample,
Dust.
and I'm convinced now that that's going to be it. That's going to kill us.
Well, so here's the thing: is OSIRIS-REx is one of 2 spacecraft that assaulted a nearby asteroid in the past year. The first assault was, in fact, it included anti-tank weapons that the Japanese launched against the asteroid Ryugu. And after bombing Ryugu and attacking it with robot after robot after robot, the Hayabusa 2 mission, they grabbed a sample from Ryugu, and it's getting here in December.
Yeah.
Whoa, we don't have to
So
wait for
given that-
2023.
Yeah, it's still 2020, and we're bringing back a sample this year.
That's
And
so
having
great.
read too much Michael Crichton as well as too much Tom Clancy,
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think we need to wait for the world to end. And I'm not sure many of us would complain too hard, given it is 2020.
Yeah. Hey, did the two satellites hit each other yesterday?
No, they missed.
No, they
Oh,
missed.
God, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I was so
low
worried
Earth
about
orbit
that.
is not someplace to go. Do not
Hang
stop
out,
in
yeah.
low Earth orbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Not
was that?
safe.
What was going on? I missed that. What was going
There
on?
was a satellite and
There were
a-
two
what-
A
satellites.
Russian and a
decommissioned
Chinese
satellite-
satellite. Their
Yeah.
paths were intersecting within like
80
80 feet,
Wow.
which is a whisker. And they said
Yeah.
a 20% chance they were going to crash into each other,
Hmm.
but they missed each other. We actually talk about this on the show too. So the update is they missed each
They
other.
made their saving throw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how about this? Isn't this the wake up call? Okay, we need to do something
No.
about this. No,
Well,
doesn't matter.
I mean, it should
So,
be,
A
but
so
near
the
miss?
problem is the economics of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
of course.
That it takes money to plan to deorbit your spacecraft. And here I have to actually give Elon Musk credit. His Starlink communication satellites, which are finally starting to be used in beta mode with a lot of the fire teams out in the Northwest, he is deorbiting his spacecraft when they're no longer needed.
Yeah.
A lot of folks are just like, hey, gravity and friction will take care of it for us someday in the future. So your spacecraft breaks and you just leave it there, assuming it'll eventually fall out of the sky on its own.
Yeah.
But these are uncontrolled things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like leaving cars running without drivers on the highway in the desert because you assume they'll eventually run off the road before they hit somebody.
Yeah.
No, they don't. Not always.
Yep.
It's,
Yeah, these-
it's irresponsible thinking. I mean,
Those
it just
satellites will
is.
Yeah.
self-deorbit when their life expectancy is over.
I've read so many articles about ideas that they have about how to recapture things and putting
Yeah.
leashes on things and huge nets and lasers to push things and then it's always like, okay, so do it. Like,
And
sounds great, do it. Like, why don't they do anything?
because of money, there
No
have been
economic
plans
incentive to
and
do so.
designs.
No economic
Exactly.
incentive to do so.
So I'd
they
like to
got tons of
point out-
tax breaks for doing it. They would do
Yeah.
it.
So it becomes an
like to point out-
externalized cost, which is a concept we bring up a lot. And you have to
Yes.
make companies pay for their externalized costs.
And what? Do you,
Otherwise,
want, you
you
want the
get
deorbiting
things-
fee
Yes.
to appear every month on
Yes.
on your phone bill.
Whatever.
Most
You
people
know what?
won't stand for that.
It's all bullshit, right? Let me just give you some perspective. The two presidential wannabes, Trump and Biden, have both collectively spent about $2 billion on their campaigns.
Yeah.
We just pissed away $2 billion on advertising that we could have spent on, I don't know, cleaning up low Earth orbit. You know what I mean? Like, there's a million things
Yeah,
you could do with
but
$2
Jay,
billion.
like Coke spends $1 billion every 9 months on advertising.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody likes to point out that's less than we're going to spend on Halloween candy.
Right.
yeah.
Right. You know,
Yeah.
it's so
When you put it
middle
into
of this year,
perspective,
but-
you can't think of numbers
Yeah,
like
I
that.
know.
because-
It just everything pisses me off. Okay, I said it.
You're on your way to cynicism.
I am. I'm full
I'll
on
welcome
full
you when
fully-
I'll welcome when you
people.
arrive. Exactly. Oh, I'm gonna be that old man, kids off my lawn. And
Jay yells at
Yeah.
Cloud.
Yeah.
is that not the
my-
best? Is that like one of the
The
best
best.
Simpsons moments
best.
ever?
Yes.
Old man yells at cloud. Oh,
Pamela, what's that monster behind you?
Yeah, what
on
is
the
that?
wall
What is that,
there?
a dinosaur?
do they have a
Does it light
name?
up?
This is Darby.
course.
There are
Had a
lights, but you can't see the lights very well because it's a bit bright in here.
There are
How
four
many
lights.
lights are there?
It's just beat you to it.
So Darby decided that he had just lost his head one too many times, and I gathered it up and put it on the wall, and now they keep me company through
it
many
all.
a stream.
Yeah,
Cool.
I hear you. Yeah, I heard you did a stream earlier today.
Yes, Astronomy Cast, our podcast is, oh my goodness, we've been going since 2006. Our show is
Yeah.
a teenager.
Yeah.
Oh my
And-
god,
Wow.
so awesome.
Fraser and I went live at, a couple of hours before we went live with this show.
Yeah.
And I'm actually doing an additional show nowadays, The Daily Space.
Cool.
We are doing a 15-minute or so daily news show for astronomy and space science. There's 3 of us that round robin hosting it. Wednesdays are rockets and rockets only. There are currently 5 toilets in space.
Yep.
2 of them are clogged.
Wednesdays are rockets. Rockets
Send,
Wednesdays.
send up the space plunger.
Yes.
2 of them are
It's-
on the ISS. Where are the other 3?
They're attached to the ISS basically, and
Okay.
there's the Chinese. But so we have it's my colleague Annie Wilson that does all of this. I just got the updates, but there's 2 US ones, 1 Soviet one on the ISS currently, and then there's 2 in capsules. I don't think the Chinese have one up there right now, but they often do. But I could be wrong. This is Annie Wilson's work. I just know the counting of the space toilets is 5, and 5 is the counting of the space toilets.
How many toilets are there? There are 5 toilets.
Teresa.
By the way, talking about streaming, and before we forget, George
Mouse.
and Pamela, where are you going to be on Saturday, January 23rd?
Probably
you tell
in this
me.
very room.
You tell me, buddy.
That's the right answer, George. We're doing a 12-hour live stream.
Oh my gosh, that's a
January
lot of
Hours.
streaming.
That's nothing, dude.
Oh, I know. You're
Now,
the
believe me,
stream queen over
12
here.
hours.
12 hours. I do 12
12.
hours before I get out of bed. Okay.
Well, won't even ask for a bathroom break.
So
Yes,
you can
you're both
remember the
invited.
date, Steve. Check this
Oh,
out.
cool.
You
Yeah.
can remember the date of the live stream by simply saying to yourself 1, 2, 3, 2,
3
1.
stream.
That's the
That
date.
is excellent.
1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
2, 1.
I
1,
like
2.
that.
A
Did you
listener told me that.
pre-plan that?
No, it was not
Palindrome.
planned. It was not, but I am
A
taking
little
full credit for it
palindrome.
anyway.
Nice.
But it is
The
1, 2, 3, 2, 1.
palindromic stream. Yeah, I like
Palindromic
that. Good.
stream.
Yeah.
I love that. Do you have a theme, or is it simply "We shall skeptic the universe"?
We are streaming. That's the theme.
Yeah.
I just wrote that.
We're right now. We have the architecture. We have the skeletal metal frame architecture, right? Because we've done this before, so we know like we need interviews.
That means we have
need-
nothing.
Nothing.
We got nothing.
You don't have to put it that way.
There's
You
a
got the
baseline.
bookkeeper, you got nothing.
I get the phone call 10 hours before. So George, what do you got? What can we do for 3 hours?
You got a 3-hour time
Yeah.
slot, George. You got to fill.
Bro, you got 3
couple
hours of
ideas.
material in your head that you'd never used before. Good.
Sure, we could do the thing with the other guy.
The thing.
Yeah, we've done we did a 24-hour show, we did a 10-hour show, we've done multiple 3-hour shows. So obviously you could fill tons of space with interviews. So we're going to be definitely setting some of those up. We have always just line up a bunch of news items. We'll do a bunch of bits. We'll probably do some games, and then we'll come up with some other special things that we're going to do. And then there's just a lot of chatting. There's a lot of this going on.
Swimsuit competition.
Yeah, but that's like our baseline. Like that's easy. We could pull that out of our ass at any moment. But
Hence what you're watching.
Yes, right?
hence this live stream. But but we're not going to just do this for 12 hours. So we're going to definitely write some new special bits that we haven't done before. That's
Yeah.
always the work. Is like, what's the new bit that we're going to do?
Yeah.
And we're definitely open to suggestions from our listeners. What do you want to see us do? What do you want to see happen? But we'll come up with some fun, special, new. Total...
I think Jay and I got to have our meatball challenge. I think we got to have our cooking.
Yeah,
our
we could do a
cook-off.
lot of those challenges that we've
Oh
been
wait,
talking
do you want
about.
to
We gotta
actually do a cook-off? Like cook?
Let's do a cook-off, brother.
cook off.
off.
We got to
You
do,
and me.
the coffee challenge and the tea challenge.
Coffee
Like we did-
challenge, tea challenge.
Okay, I need to
caffeinated
know
challenge.
more about this coffee challenge.
Well, it's essentially we're going to.
You take a tube, Pamela, and you stick it. No,
Whoa,
sorry.
whoa.
The basic idea is, and we'll do this with tea as well. Somebody will make
I like
the most perfect, exquisite cup of tea / cup of coffee, and then we will have a blinded taste test between that and the complete swill version of the same thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like a Keurig versus Jay just making the best cup of coffee he could make, and then we'll see if you can tell the difference.
Yeah,
And then we'll
7-Eleven
do
coffee versus
a cup of tea the way you're supposed to do it, like as an infusion at the right temperature, loose
Yeah.
leaf, everything perfect, and then we'll dunk a tea bag in some lukewarm water, and then we'll do a taste test, and we'll see if blinded, if you could really tell the difference or not.
You know,
Just you saying
Can I
Blinded.
that.
steal this?
We didn't
Can
make
we
this
do
up.
this on
I mean,
CosmoQuest as well? Because
we don't own this idea. This is kind of too basic. Just sure do it.
Copyright, trademark.
Steve, we
Red
talked
bar
about years
check.
ago. Steve and I have never been drunk.
And that
We
will
talked
not
about, you know,
change. That will not change on January 23rd.
I'm telling you, that at some point we got to do it. At some point we got to do a live, you and me doing like, you know, one shot an hour.
We'll see who
He'll
goes
never do it.
first.
Steve won't do it, George.
You know that's not going to
I,
happen.
won't do it.
I won't do it either, but I'll do it if Steve
It
does.
won't do.
Steve, that would be pretty
for,
amazing. I mean,
for
Steve drunk,
science.
that would be
for science. You know, we have tests and we see what our
We'll
cognition
do it at the
levels are
beginning of the live stream, and then I'll
Yeah.
be drunk for the entire thing.
Of course, I was
Yeah.
drunk at the time.
So
I'm telling
we
you,
are
people
going
would
to have
people would chip
drinking.
out for that.
I'll drink, Pamela. I will drink with you, but Steve will not.
So
Yes.
so during our 36-hour hangoutathon, because we go for 36 hours.
Okay,
Is that a
fine.
challenge?
Win.
So,
But
so during our 36
Are you
hour,
awake for 30? You personally, individually awake for the entire 36 hours?
I was the first time. I am now an older person.
Yes.
And now we have a larger staff that we try and feed.
Well,
so
sure, if
no,
you
we
farm
do
it
switch
out.
off through the night.
Yeah.
but I take 6 hours off at night, and other than that, yes, I'm there. So I'm there
That's
for 30
amazing.
hours of it. But anyways, we're focused on solar system science this year, and we're going to try and answer the important question of, other than Earth, where do you need to go to get the ingredients for a perfect cocktail in our solar system?
Oh, that's a great
So
question.
we're going to be bringing on a group of planetary scientists and figuring out what is out there that we might partake.
I hear Rigel's nice. Rigel 5. Is it?
It's a bit far away. We're trying to stick to our solar system.
Okay. Within
Yeah.
driving distance.
Within the distance of that, well, Voyager 1 at 148 astronomical units.
Anything that or closer. Okay, good.
You have to
That's
go
a
to
good
Belter
measure.
Station on Ceres. That they have the best cocktails in the solar system.
So, George,
They
you
also
said
have a lot
something.
of ultraviolet.
George, you said something about meatballs before.
Yeah.
Do you want? Ian and I have been talking about this. I'm fully preparing to do like a mini cooking show where I teach everyone how to cook the sauce and meatballs that we're going to put on the website. You know, just for SGU listeners. So many people want the recipe.
Yeah,
I thought it'd be fun to do it. But I mean, I think it would be cool if you. So this is going to be at Steve's house because we're going to be at the studio.
Yeah.
So we can cook both our meatballs at the same time. And then what Ian can do is he can pop in on us while we're up there doing it for the hour it takes to
Yeah.
prepare.
Or get like
everything.
hot plates, do it downstairs.
Yeah,
You know?
then we can feed everybody. That's what we'll do. All right.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We
Yeah,
could
totally.
each make a dish, and then everyone taste it, and then we
Yeah,
could,
we'll do like a iron SGU chef
Yeah,
or something or whatever. It is. Yeah.
yeah,
That'd be fun.
Gotta eat, right? 12 hours.
Gotta eat. Come on. Do eat. Do.
I could make you my patented Mexican casserole, which everybody loves, except for
The
my
best thing you
daughters.
make though is your salad, Steve. You make
Yeah, that's old.
no,
I'm
don't
not
you
sure if
don't
that's a
downplay it.
compliment or an insult.
Are you gonna make bread, Steve? Are you gonna make bread?
Don't
for
you can't
make
downplay
bread.
it. It is
The
it is
way
an amazing salad.
that Steve pours a glass of water, it's a thing of beauty. Just it's a pure
way the
delight.
gravity-
It's just delicious, just so pure and just
Salad
for
is,
him.
you
it's-
don't cook salad, but there's still an art to
Sure.
selecting the ingredients
emulsion
Emulsion.
factor.
and
Come
making
on.
the there's the stoichiometry of the dressing
Ooh,
and the
yes,
ingredients
absolutely.
that's involved, and
Absolutely.
just iterating it and tweaking it until you get that perfect combination. But if you want to actually apply heat to the situation, then I have other things that I've invented that would be fun.
Evan, what do you cook best?
Ooh, boy. I tend to grill more than cook, but I do have a chicken and pasta recipe with breadcrumbs and other ingredients, some vegetables in there. That's quite nice. I think maybe I'll do that one.
We can get
All right,
Liz
that's
to
cool.
make her focaccia.
Yeah, her focaccia bread is awesome.
Nice.
Pamela, I want to ask you a personal question. What do you do in your little free time that you have? What's your hobby?
Oh man, I've actually been painting planets. So Amy Davis
Like whole
Roth, a
planets?
friend
They
of
stand
all of
still
us.
for that?
Yeah, so this sounds ridiculous. I'm actually wearing one I painted. I have no clue if my camera will show it. So Amy Davis Roth,
Ooh,
Yeah, Amy. Sorry,
Yeah,
Amy.
Amy.
she taught me a technique called fluid painting that has paint that mixes following the rules of the specific gravities of the paints, the amount that you add. You can muck it up by adding thermodynamics into it and heating things up. And you can actually reproduce the atmospheric effects of gas giants using this painting technique. And it's also a really good excuse to just like make an amazing mess using bright colors, and it's pleasing. And this is going to sound really lame, but it's fun to watch the paint dry because you put a thickness of paint onto, I'm doing this on discs of acrylic, and over time, the different densities of paint will rise and sink like the stuff in a lava lamp, and you can see the convective cells, like is on the world Jupiter, rising up on your painting. I also do things like I read way too much, and I am guilty of dying in lava on Minecraft 6 different times on Sunday. 6 different times. I'm really bad at
Is that a personal best, or?
It got so bad that one of the other people on the server was like, "Are you okay?
You got to make yourself some healing potions, Pamela, and you got to get some better armor. You need enchanted diamond armor."
I lost everything. I had glassed off a big old thing of lava, except for apparently one block on top of the lava.
Yeah. Don't stand on the block that you destroy. That's one tip for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And don't swim in lava. Yeah.
I broke all of those
my
rules.
grandfather
All of
always
them.
said, yeah.
I love Minecraft. I think it's a brilliantly creative game. It could be arguably the best video game ever created, just because of how much creativity it has fostered. But
boundless.
I rage quit every time I get back into it. I rage quit because I refuse to play in creative because I don't want to. When everything's for free, it's too.
Yeah, I never play creative. I always play in.
So this happens every single time. I got my guy all decked out. I got all my best gear on and everything, and then something happens. I get killed. All my shit goes, and I'm like in some cave. I have no idea where my guy is, and I try to go and find my body as fast as I can. And it takes, you waste about 20 minutes. Then you're questioning, how long will the shit last? Then I realize that all of that stuff is gone. And then I just turn the game off. And I'm like, I'm done.
Jay, you don't keep track of your coordinates so you know where you are? You got to write down your coordinates.
I always forget.
And you need to carry a bed with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
My rule is I take a bed, I plop it down someplace I know is safe, and then I leave a trail of torches and go down that cave.
Yeah.
And I know I rematerialize, I respawn in that bed. And as long as the critter doesn't kill me too close to the bed, I'm good. I just follow that trail of lights.
I should try that next time. I know that type of preparation requires some gray matter that I don't have, though. I don't think of shit like that.
It comes from playing with a whole bunch of people where there's always someone shouting, "Can somebody go to bed? I'm about to die." and because we have a mod where only one person has to sleep on our server. And I happenstance discovered that if I'm down in my basement, I apparently built my house on a hellmouth, Buffy style. And I'm mining away and I get attacked. That bed I brought to rescue my friends also serves to respawn me, and this is a good thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. George, you have any hobbies?
Wow.
What do you do outside of everything that you do?
I talk to you guys when you allow me to.
It's a good habit.
Yeah. When you say, "Can you do a stream?" I just sit here waiting by the computer, and then I'll. Well, the thing is, like, all my hobbies are sort of incorporated into what I do anyway.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Way. So yeah, it's I'm usually like learning songs for fun, or watching movies and reading books that I can talk about on the show, or exercising, or painting my house, or hobbies. I used to make models when I was a kid, and I've always wanted to go back to doing that. I used to really enjoy making like airplanes and tanks and war scenes. Cool. I used to do whole dioramas. I really enjoyed that, and there's a part of me that wants to have like a huge train set too. Like I picture myself around 70, 75, just having a huge train set I can just occupy my time, just to scale, perfectly to scale, done really well. And I have this fantasy of making a Bethlehem, much like in
neat
in what do you call
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, exactly, where he makes the scale of the town.
Yeah.
Because we have a train depot here and some stuff. And I thought, oh, wouldn't that be neat to make like a scale Bethlehem, and just because it's lovely, and that might happen at some point. But otherwise, it's basically just learning songs and doing things like that.
What I want to do is along those lines. Is inspired by David Tremont and Weta, because when we were down there, like we really learned how to make models, you know, and not obviously like they do, but just learning a few techniques. Like shit, that's not as hard as if you know a few techniques. Like you could do shit that is fun, you know.
Like photography, you need to know some basic things, and you can be a decent.
But
photographer.
I've been collecting greebles, right? I've been collecting things that I could use, little pieces of things that I could use in model crafting, because there's a lot of like throwaway plastic doodads in my life, so I just
kit
sort of
bashing. Is that what they call that?
Kit bashing is when you take a kit that like I give you like a model boat and you take pieces from it to build a spaceship. That's kit bashing.
Okay.
But also repurposing, like you take things that are just garbage or whatever, or just pieces of, you know, like we did this when we were doing that one. The thing that happened before AQ6, where we were doing a science fiction review show, we were turning our studio into a wrecked spaceship, basically. And we were harvesting like old VCR parts and old computer monitors.
Right.
And like you take out a heat sink from an old computer, that looks really cool. Like that, you could see that as part of a spaceship. So that's the other thing that you do is you repurpose everyday objects that look cool. So I've been doing that, and I'm hoping I have enough downtime at some point that I want to like build a spaceship or something.
I did a photo shoot once where I built like the inside of a spaceship.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. I used like big styrofoam paneling and kind of built a wall and then like cut into it and had used like cut bleach bottles and like had tubes coming out of it, and then I had an old TV screen that just the plastic off the front, and it was very satisfying. You understand why Adam Savage can spend so much time in his space. I watch those videos all the time too of just him making, you know, a gun or a packet or a whatever. And so it's really cool. Really cool.
Cosplayers, like I do not need more physical objects to dust in my house. But costumes. Yeah. I have this fantasy of someday all the random fabric from clothes that I couldn't throw out but were torn someplace that they couldn't be repaired, that it will get repurposed and turned into something glorious. And I look at folks like some of you know Emily Fink from going to Dragon Con. I look at what she accomplishes with a sewing machine and a clear desk. And it's like, I could do that. And I'm sure I could.
Yeah. And those two things are not mutually exclusive, Pamela, because you could make a prop for your costume.
It's true.
Right?
It's true.
So those two things can go together. Should we do the game so that we have time to take some questions?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Ian
can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Can I say one quick thing?
Yeah, well, Ian will just email everyone, and then you can go ahead.
Tangentially related to Nexus. I just wanted to share this because it was kind of cool. Remember the Ringo video that I did for Nexus about how Ringo is awesome?
I liked it.
Well, Steve Lukather, who is the guitarist from Toto, he was one of the original guys from Toto, still does it.
Wow.
He tours in Ringo's band called the All Star Band. STARR, which is all his band is made up of all like celebrities. So Sheila E. plays drums, and the guy from Mr. Mister plays bass, and they do these tours, and they all do Ringo songs, and they do one of their own songs. Well, Steve Lukather was the guitarist for a while, so he would do Rosanna and stuff. Anyway, Steve Lukather tweeted about my video, and he said it was great, and people should look at it. So like in a day, I got like 2,000 extra views on that video. That was really, really cool. So he, and then Will Lee is the bass player from David Letterman's band.
Yep.
And he's in a group called the Fab Four, which is a Beatles, like the ultimate Beatles band. They're amazing, absolutely amazing. And he got in touch with me on Facebook, and he said he saw it and that he liked it. So like they both know Ringo, so it might actually get to Ringo. Like it's like we're one degree, one step away.
I know, that is so cool,
Ringo,
George.
which is very exciting.
Pamela, you'd really like the video George made. So he it was like what, 20 minutes, George?
13.
Not even 15.
13 minutes. So he goes into some quick explanations why Ringo Starr is an actual genius drummer. and it's like just a series of facts about him. And I'm a huge fan of Ringo Starr. I like that guy in so many different ways, and he's very humble. I just watched a video on YouTube the other day where he is basically saying, like, and George brought this up too, but he says like he's considered to be a very interesting drummer because he's left-handed playing on a right-handed kit. So because he has to do things differently because he's on a kit that's quote unquote backwards to him. Yeah. The way that he organizes his drumming from one drum to the next has to be different because he leads with his left hand. And just that alone, to me, like, he could have easily just never told anybody that, and people would just think, oh yeah, he's just, super inventive. But it's that and like 30 other things that make him a genius.
Yeah.
I will need to go find that video. I tend to get lost in your music videos and never escape to other things, and I need to fix that.
Cool.
I just like the fact that it gives more appreciation for drummers. I think most people I talk to, like, when you bring up the drumming of a song or of a group or of like a particular drummer, they have zero awareness of it. You probably have this experience. It's like it's in the background. One person said, drumming is in the background. It's like the fact that you don't notice it doesn't mean it's not having a dramatic effect on the song. It doesn't have to be out in front to be very powerful. And like, even you made a really good point on that video where some of Ringo's most genius drumming was when he did the least, because he was giving the space for other things to happen.
Of course, you complement the other musicians.
That's the drummer's job is to support the song ultimately, and he was one of the absolute best at doing that. So to be able to facilitate a bed upon which everything can be written on top of it, while still being original and creative and different, and kind of pushing sort of the standards of what was thought to be, this is what a rock and roll beat is. Right. And it's like, well, no.
There's an athleticism that is required for drumming that I can't think of any other non-percussion instrument, because a xylophone is its own crazy thing. I can't think of any non-percussive instrument that requires the same athleticism. And sure, I played oboe, and you need an amazing amount of breath control, and you get really good face and jaw muscles. But with that entire drum kit, you require spatial coordination, fast reflexes. You have to keep it all going. Your heart is involved more. It's one of those full body things. Harvard Gardner wrote about how there's different aspects of intelligence, where there's people who are good at science, there are people who are good at writing, there are people who are good at kinetics, there are people who are good at music, there's people who have good spatial relationships. You have to have the athletic kinetic intelligence, the spatial intelligence, and the music intelligence all simultaneously. Oboe does not require that.
I've seen some wonderful performances by organ players that also are playing with pedals at the same time, which is a similar thing. So you have sort of the dexterity of the 10 fingers being independent, and then you also have the legs are playing bass lines at the same time. That's a similar kind of like athleticism on some level of
it almost feels percussive at that point, steel guitar versus all those pedals. It's just different limbs.
And then singing, I sometimes realize, like, when I'm performing with the band, like, I'll be singing a song and I'm also thinking, like, what's the next song coming up? And then, I just noticed that, like, the caterer over there is going to be coming over, and that light just went out over there, so we got to make sure that light turns on for the next cue, which is going to, and like the actual playing is like 4% of what's in my brain. It's all the other garbage of, like, oh wait, did we get fed yet, or did that happen? It's just it's funny how there's a hierarchy of thinking, and some stuff gets so sort of rote that you can just kind of
driving the car, thinking of other things like that.
My favorite example is I was playing once a jazz trio or something, and on the floor of, like, we were playing some auction or something like that, and so there was people milling about, and I'm playing the song, literally playing, and a guy comes up to me and he sort of whispers and he says, like, do you guys know? And he requests something, and it wasn't my band, I was just subbing. And I said, ask the guitarist. And he's like, oh, I don't want to bother him, he's playing. I'm literally playing.
Wow.
Like, ask the drummer because that's not really playing.
Yeah.
I don't want to bother the guitarist because
He's only drumming.
he's just drumming. So
That guy had no idea that was insulting. That's funny.
Oh,
That's,
it's amazing.
That's funny.
It's amazing. Yeah.
All right, so Pamela, do you know what is about to happen right now?
I'm somewhat afraid.
So
He should be.
Because I just realized that you probably don't even realize that we are about to start a trivia game, and you need to click the link that is in the Zoom chat.
I've done that. I'm staring at a big green. You are part of the home team. Do not synchronize.
Right.
Yeah, you're still going to synchronize.
That's right.
All right, so we're going to start this
really
quiz.
have to,
So
but-
Ian is going to come on the disembodied voice, which is Ian. There he is. He's going to tell us what to do.
Right. So everybody who wants to join, darkenergy.games. There's the link again. We only have about 200 people in there, so make sure you get over there post haste.
200.
The stream is there as well, so you can watch at the same time.
How
or
many
if you have a
people are in the
secondary
stream?
device.
You know?
There's currently over 900,
Okay.
and
Get on the game, folks.
70.
Wow.
The game thus far. It's
I
keep
see
going
Timmy and Bobby and Sarah and Jimmy and Fred.
And you were there. And you were there.
In the meantime, we have a running theme of questions from the chat. Steve, was that a Fresca that we saw you drinking?
No.
How about a Fresca?
No. Okay, and then they were asking
Diet
Dr.
Sunkist.
Pamela, Dr. Pamela Gay, are you also drinking a Fresca in the black coffee mug?
No, sadly, it's jasmine tea, which is far less exciting.
Okay.
less
Skeptibrarian
attractive.
asks, what the hell is George drinking?
This is a Wegmans Diet Ginger Ale in my James Bond villain glass.
Yes.
Excellent.
Ooh.
Very good,
B-
Mr. Bond. I do believe you're not expecting company, are you?
I'll drink to your demise. Yes.
B to the N also wants to know what Evan's drinking.
What I was drinking, because my glass is now empty, but I think it was A positive last. No, wait, it's AB negative, definitely. It was
And,
fruit punch, but it did look like blood. Yes.
And nobody cares what Jay's drinking, so
I have no beverages here.
there you go.
But I am right now is right when the hunger is becoming intolerable. Right around 6 o'clock.
Like a werewolf.
You get hangry at like.
All right, well, let's start
Yeah, I
this
do.
game
I do.
quickly. Here we go.
Like
When
a
I count
vampire.
down and say click, you're going to all click the synchronize button, especially people on the stream. If it says an error, just play along with the game on the screen. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click.
0 seconds. Yes.
Very good. Good job. We'll
That's
see in
right.
the chat however many seconds you are behind. Again, if it says some error about too far behind, just follow what's happening on the web page. It'll be desynced from the
So
stream.
Pamela, did you click the button? Are you okay over
I
there?
did.
Okay,
I
good.
did.
Just checking.
I hope they're
Okay,
astronomy items. I need
there we
help.
go. People are starting to.
Wait, are we,
58.
are we
Pamela,
not supposed-
what's
are we
the
supposed to
answer to
synchronize?
this?
or
Yeah,
no?
the only rule of this
Yeah,
game is
you
if
don't
you
have
know
to, but
the
it's
answer,
fine.
don't reveal it. Just wait. You got to wait till the end. That's all. And you can change your answer in this, just so you know.
Until the time runs out.
After that. it's a
And
permanent
George
0.
George wrote the music to this. If you click,
Oh.
if you scroll down, you'll see sound effects beta. If you turn that on, you will hear George's timer music.
Ooh.
That's right. All right, I think we got everybody in there. We're going to start the game. And away we go. If you fell down an airless, frictionless hole going all the way through the Earth, how long would it take to fall to the other side? To the minute.
Let's do the math.
17
T
minutes,
equals
29 minutes, 42 minutes. You wouldn't reach the other side.
16 v squared. What's the
Yeah, V1 equals 148. 7 seconds.
A few more seconds.
Oh,
Yeah, that was easy. So
Yeah.
the interesting thing is, it doesn't matter if you fall directly through the middle or if you take any angle. Of course, you would have to be like on rails if you were not going straight down. If you had a frictionless train, no matter what 2 points you connect to on the Earth, if it free fell from one side to the other, it would take 42 minutes.
That is fascinating.
Yeah,
wow,
but wait, but
that's-
you wouldn't.
Gravity doesn't pull back on it when you're halfway through the
But,
trip,
but
right?
I have to
gravity
say-
wouldn't allow
Right.
you to make
Next
it.
question.
All right,
Sorry,
we got-
guys.
we got-
Yeah. We'll have to come back to that,
Frictionless.
George.
Is always
Okay,
the answer.
sorry.
The farthest distance a human eye can detect a candle flame is 2.76 kilometers, 4.82 kilometers, 15.4 kilometers, or 31 kilometers.
What? That seems ambiguous, but okay.
Yeah, that last one is 19.2 miles. I forgot to write the word miles.
I mean,
That's I was surprised at how short that is.
I remembered 5 miles in my head.
that's what I thought too.
I found it in multiple locations on the internet. I'm checking these answers a lot now.
Were the
Chat,
answers a
please
mile and a half
fact
away?
check. Ha. Please fact check Jay in the chat, everybody.
Somebody, yes,
Real time.
go ahead. So there's
Go ahead.
900 of you. You could fact check me. Go ahead.
The curvature of the Earth eventually gets in the way.
All right, go ahead.
What do the initials
flat
HAL for the HAL 9000 computer mean in the film 2001: A Space Odyssey?
yeah.
Heuristically programmed algorithmic computer, holographic adaptive logic computer, human approximation life form, hyperfunctional autonomous learning computer.
Yeah.
I made up
That
all the other
doesn't-
ones.
That doesn't stand for hell, though.
It's one
Yeah, you
letter
gotta-
above
Yes,
IBM.
Hapak.
There's one letter before IBM, right?
Trick question.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But it's H and then algorithmic AL. That's the original one.
I
made
remember heuristically.
Okay.
That's the key. That was
Yeah.
what I remembered.
And it
Yeah.
If
wasn't
you had put in
holographic.
two that were heuristically, I would have been like, oh, I don't know which one.
it. Yeah. There's another one.
In 1930, Albert Einstein and a colleague were issued U.S. patent 1781541. What was it for? An engine, a reflective coating for glass, a chemical compound, a refrigerator.
He knew people at the patent office, so he had the wheels were greased.
Wow.
Nope.
No.
A freaking
That didn't work.
refrigerator.
E equals
So it
MC
says-
cold.
It says from 1926 until 1934, Einstein and Szilard, is that how you pronounce it? Collaborated on ways to improve home refrigeration technology.
Yeah, like that guy.
All
like
right.
really? He
Einstein was
just-
chill, man.
Imagine if we had 10 of them at all time. That would be amazing.
10 Einsteins?
Yes.
Okay, which metal was first produced by Hans Christian Ørsted in 1825?
Thumbelina.
Yeah, I was gonna say Thumbelinium.
Titanium,
Little mermaidium.
aluminium is what it should be, or magnesium.
It's got to be that one.
Damn it.
Really?
Wow.
Aluminium.
Yep.
Wow.
And it was more expensive than gold.
That's right. Because it
In
was so hard to
1825, Ørsted made a significant contribution to chemistry by producing aluminium in a near pure form for the first time.
All
I
I
said
right.
figured
answer?
out how to make it out of dirt, and now you could wrap your sandwich in it.
Yeah.
Somebody said I said
Yeah.
the answer.
You
I didn't,
can
I didn't
wrap your
realize.
sandwich
Sorry.
in it.
Sorry if I did that.
Oh, you did?
I don't know. Somebody
Hey.
said it. I don't know.
I should have listened.
All right, the game is now over. Whoa.
I dragged us down.
I dragged this down. Please, Evan. My God.
No, no,
I
George.
did terrible.
George,
That was-
I'm bottom feeding here.
Hey,
I'm still back on this question
The-
about why is it
listen,
so
these
cold.
quizzes are for fun, and you're also if you learn something, you know.
Yep.
Did
They
you
do
have
not- they're-
fun,
they're-
George? Well, then you won.
It is not fair when the actual answer to something is 42 because I'm going to instantly dismiss it.
Yeah.
Pamela, when you go to apply for the next grant, they're going to say, "This is very impressive, Pamela, but that quiz on SGU, I'm sorry, you just
Yeah.
Okay,
quite,
so wait a minute.
didn't
With the-
quite make it."
With the whole globe thing and the tunnel through the earth,
Yes.
right? I was always told that you wouldn't make it to the end because you'd get sucked back from the gravity and you would basically just sort of get to the
That's
center.
true
You
if
couldn't
there's
that was
air.
my
go through.
interpretation.
No, but without in a frictionless environment, you would keep going all the
Yeah,
way each
but-
time.
But you wouldn't make it to the
You wouldn't
far
need
end.
the
You would
No,
exactly
it's
make it to the other
conservation of
side.
energy.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would fall the first half of the way, and then you decelerate the second half of the way. With no air, there's no limit.
But would you? But that's the thing is, you would make it back out. You don't. Make
Yeah,
It,
But you would
exactly.
make it
would,
out
you would
at the
pop
exact
up
height
the,
that you
the
jumped
other
from.
side, and then you'd, assuming that the dirt is at the same altitude.
right.
It's the pendulum problem. If you
Yeah.
remove all friction, the pendulum always rises to the exact height that it started.
Yeah, exactly.
The planet's a pendulum. It's just if there's air in the tube, which if it takes you 42 minutes to go, there'd better be air in the tube. That air is the friction that prevents you from making it all the way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's why it said frictionless and
Yeah.
airless, right?
Right. But
Yes.
what does gravity play on it though? In terms of the mass of the
Well,
planet. that
George,
you're
gravity
flying through?
accelerates you for the first half and then
Right.
decelerates you for the second half, and it
Right.
exactly equals itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's you only worry about how much mass is beneath you, not how much is above you.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Okay.
And if you're wearing clothes, you go slower.
And also, that's also
made
the
that up.
exact amount of time it would take for you to orbit the Earth at the surface would be 42 minutes.
Yeah.
That I had no idea. I'm gonna have
The
to work
answer is
energy
42,
equations.
guys, and that is the
42.
answer to life, the universe, and everything.
And thus I thought it was wrong.
Yes. So real quick, somebody, United States minor outlying islands, got 100%. Good for you.
Proud of
That's-
you.
Wow.
Single
Minor
person.
outlying islands. I
And then
love
the
it.
next highest score was from Sierra Leone,
What's a
Wow.
minor outlying
80%. Good
island?
job, guys. It was really, if you look at it, there was like almost an even distribution all the way to the bottom.
Boy.
That was fun. I think that was one of the best quizzes.
That
I
was a
put
hard
together.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did better last week.
U.S. did not do well.
Bob, how'd
My
you do?
goodness.
Bob, someone poke Bob.
So, look,
Bob
let's-
got none wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Ian, if you have any questions, now would be a good time
I
to
got
do
questions.
Yeah, so someone, actually Fox J. Will in the Discord was asking, my orchestra conductor is claiming that the human nervous system vibrates at a particular frequency that's approximately the same for all people. He says that one can actually hear this vibration if you're in a quiet room. Is this true?
No.
No.
You
You
can't
can hear
hear
your
the
heartbeat?
nervous system vibrating. I mean, the nervous system vibrating, it's hard
Define
to
that.
even know what you mean by that. I mean, there is a sort of rhythm to the baseline activity of your brain. It's not really a vibration. It's more of a frequency, a wave,
Frequency,
of
yeah.
electrical activity. But
There
there's
is a
isn't
quantum-
there isn't a physical vibration to your nervous system. No.
Assuming all
one
is
of the-
correct.
One of the awesome things that this reminded me of is the LIGO and Virgo detectors were able to pick up the vibration of the 42 kilogram mirrors they use that are due to quantum fluctuations. We're
wow.
squishier. It's harder to measure our frequency of vibration, and it's beyond human hearing. But I love the fact that we can measure quantum fluctuations in 42 kilogram objects,
Oh,
just
that's
not
cool.
ourselves.
Yeah, our whole bodies are vibrating like at a quantum level. Like we have a de Broglie, is that or it's whatever wavelength?
Is that why
But
I
it's
can't
teeny
sleep,
tiny.
Steve?
What?
The
Huh?
Broglie.
Is that why I
Broglie,
can't
yeah.
freaking sleep? Because my brain is pulsating.
Yes, because Steve's body is vibrating. That's right.
Your germ cloud is keeping you up at
Now,
night.
there are
Oh,
parts of your body that pulsate. I mean, that's definitely true.
If your heart didn't do that, you'd probably be dead. It would be a very
you
bad
can,
day.
You can hear your heart like in those super quiet rooms that they have.
That's
Yeah.
because there's an artery that goes right by your
Right by your
tympanic
ear.
So you
membrane.
actually hear the pulsing in your head.
In that
which is kinda
artery,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Not that
Oh, you're not actually hearing your heart itself. You're hearing it through the artery.
the pulsing
Well,
of the
yeah.
artery. Yeah. Which
you
is really
cut
cool,
your-
actually.
Yeah. Yeah, just pull it open. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
We had a question from Discord that Jay and George should discuss the minimum notes to feel emotion that Jay previously mentioned.
Yeah, so
One.
George, last
I
week,
can name that emotion in one note.
and this thought came from one of our conversations that we had. I don't remember where we were, George. You know what I remember? We spent a lot of time when we were driving the van.
Yeah.
I remember we had some discussion about like how music can solicit emotion and how it's remarkable that can happen. And it also can solicit specific feelings and emotion. Like, an obvious one is like something that has like a spy theme to it. Like music can make you think of a spy theme.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And then last week,
part of that is cultural programming, though.
A lot of it.
Yes.
Of course.
A lot of it. Yeah.
But then last week, I during the stream, I was saying, I wonder how few notes you could play to solicit an emotion.
I think the answer is one.
It's George.
What I'm thinking,
I would say two.
I'm thinking of that Mozart piece in the movie, where there's just one note hanging there.
Dominos,
No, not that one. It's the one where, I forget. It's like it's a violin, I think, that's playing the one note.
Yeah, but that's more about timbre and about placement.
The way the person's playing, yeah.
If that's what you're talking about. If you're just talking about harmonically, how many notes do you need to elicit some kind of reaction? Minimally, I would say it's two.
Yeah.
Because you get an interval. And then intervals have this inherent nature quality to them. So if you play a tritone, that is like kind of weird. If you play
like
a major
klaxon,
third, you play a major third, it's a happy sound. A minor third is a minor. Now timbrely, you could get away with one. I mean, Jimi Hendrix.
So it depends on what you mean by a note.
Yeah, exactly.
Depends on what you mean by a note, right? The note can be complex. And have harmonics and everything in it.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about that. You're totally right, Steve. Yeah.
And then you get new things that come into play. You're right. When you get two notes, then you get all the, as you say, the interval and the relationship between the two notes. But
because timbre has a tremendous effect on your emotional response to something.
Yeah, totally.
That's culturally learned. A bagpiper on a distant hill playing one note is going to affect you in a certain way. An accordion, right next to you when you're trying to log into your Discord channel is going to affect you in a different way.
But that isn't just one pure note then, because you have this concept that a note is a bunch of different sound wavelengths over top each other. All those different oscillations within the sound cavity of the instrument are doing their thing together. So if you play just a pure sound, first of all, our brain goes computer. But it's that combination of the different intervals.
Yeah, I mean, every note
together.
has its, the fundamental, and then there's the octave above that, then there's a fifth above that, then the octave again, and then a fourth, and the fifth, and then the octave, and then a third, and a fourth. Like every note has all those notes in it, which gives it the character that sort of like sounds like, a piano C has all these other notes in it as well, but it's a C in its essence. Yeah, if you get a pure tone, a pure oscillating tone, sounds like a computer, like you said. It sounds this.
But my point though is like just to make this, let me to make my point very clear. Like let's say you're just playing a piano, right? So we're not talking about a violinist like pulling a note and putting an emotion into the stroke and the way that they're fingering the note. I'm just talking about somebody's playing a piano, and you play one note, then you play two notes, then you play three notes. In a series, right? You can play them in any way that you want. So George is saying like just two notes, an interval will and can solicit a legitimate emotion. And I want to also point out, I'm not saying in a movie where the movie is already setting you up for an emotional response. If you're just listening to music, I agree with George. I think it is two notes, but I think there is also a level above that where you can solicit an emotion that has a meaning in there, like the spy theme as an example. And you know what, George? I think we should experiment with this and see if we can come up with some examples.
Yeah. It's tough, Jay, because it's so cultural, and there is a strange Western bias that we have in terms of our concept of music theory, because we've all been trained with this idea of music is what the 19th century white guys in Europe said it was. And everything else is derivations from that, and we have to judge everything based on that, and it's not. There are completely independent systems of music and music theory that have not nothing to do, but that are independent from traditional Western kind of music. So when you get into Eastern music, let's say, or East Indian music, and that they have more than our 12 notes, our 12 chromatic notes in a scale, where they're dealing with, I forget what the number is, but it's like you have these notes in between our Western notes, and that they can use those notes to an effect. And so that a Western ear doesn't necessarily hear that. so it really opens up a whole can of just like when you start saying emotion, a trained ear that learns, a minor third is sad because that's what the sound that is playing when, Kirk's smashing the ship into the asteroid. We learn that, as opposed to some very different kinds of harmonic content can have very different emotional reactions to, African ears and Eastern ears and Peloponnesian ears. So it's a strange thing to say. Like, you have to just be cautious of like, emotions are communicated in music this way. Because it's as wide as language, even though it's not language, which is it is, but it's not an international language. That's the other thing that always bothers me. Music is an international language. It's like, nope, it's not an international language. It's a language.
It's cultural.
Cultural.
I get your point. I'm talking like within our own zeitgeist, though, that we are programmed just like everything else. Just like everything else we consume, it changes us, it programs us, it gets underneath our skin, and it becomes a part of us.
Yeah. But just get back to what George was saying really quickly. So I had a conversation with my daughter Julia about this because she's minoring in music, and she took an entire course on other cultures' music. I don't know if you were there for that conversation, George, because I don't know if you remember that I had the exact same conversation that you just said with Julia. And it was blowing my mind because she was like, like if you take this type of music, like the music varies in ways that you didn't even know was a variable that could be different about music.
Adam Neely is a brilliant YouTube guy. He's a bass player out of New York. And I linked to it a thing he did about, theory that's being taught in music schools in America and in Europe is 19th century European white guys music. And it's great and it's valued and it's important.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, right. But it's not the only thing. Go to Adam Neely's thing. It's a 45-minute deep dive that he does. But even I was just like, oh, right. There's this inherent, unfortunately, racism in a lot of that teaching as well about how this is the ideal. These white dudes, this is the ideal, and everything else is derivations from that. And it's just simply not true. Simply
not true at all. That might be a good thing to do a segment on during the live stream, maybe between you and Julia, like just
to
go over some basic concepts of other cultures' music,
scales, different scales,
it'll blow you away. It'll blow you away.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
All right, well, guys, it's 6:22.
Let's do one more question.
We're gonna do one more question.
How intense of a question do you want?
Yeah,
go for it. Whatever you want.
Okay. Thoughts on vitamin D for COVID-19 protection?
All right. So vitamin D is complicated, and there is good evidence that being relatively insufficient, not even deficient. Right. So there's like healthy amount of a vitamin. There's insufficient where you're not going to get a disease, but it's not optimal. And then there's deficient where you get a disease associated with the deficiency of that vitamin, right? So that makes sense to everybody?
Yeah.
So you could be like in this border zone where you're not going to get like rickets, but you don't have an optimal amount of calcium, for example, or vitamin D. So in vitamin D insufficiency, it's been discovered over the last 20 years or so, correlates with and probably causes autoimmune diseases. It worsens your risk for autoimmune diseases. It may worsen the autoimmune disease, multiple sclerosis, for example. And so, primary care doctors have started doing a lot more testing for vitamin D because of that. And a lot more supplementing of vitamin D. So we're not just supplementing in people who are deficient, we're supplementing for people who are insufficient because that's a risk factor for autoimmune disease. Why is that a risk factor for autoimmune disease? Because it's really important for immune function. And that also affects your ability to fight off infections, including COVID-19. So vitamin D insufficiency may also be a risk factor for a worse outcome from a serious infection like COVID-19. Now, the preliminary evidence supports that. The theory supports that. That's consistent with everything we know at this point in time about vitamin D and immunity. But there hasn't been enough time to do like definitive, phase 3 type trials to really prove what role it has. But it's like one of those very low risk things. If you're low in vitamin D, sure, why not? Why wouldn't you supplement it and make, in case it turns out it's important? It would make a clinical difference for COVID. And interestingly, there's this one guy in Australia, right? There's always this one outlier. There's this one doctor in Australia who thinks that vitamin D causes autoimmune disease. Like, he completely flipped it on, and he's wrong. He's like this one outlier. But you will encounter, if you search for this, of course, the one outlier is disproportionately represented in online search results about this topic. So just be aware that there's this one crank out there who is making claims.
Vitamin
that are
D,
just,
Steve.
Yeah.
Believe me. Stay away. It's going to ruin your life. It's going to ruin your life, Steve. You're brainwashed. You're brainwashed. I know.
So if you
got to
are,
root loose in the paddock.
From the University of Woolloomooloo.
Yeah, if you live, the farther away from the equator you live, or the darker your skin, the more important it is to check your vitamin D levels, especially in the winter, and you may need to be supplemented. Yeah.
So if you drink milk, you're okay?
So not necessarily, because, it's definitely good. But yeah, how much milk would an adult have to drink in order to completely make up for their vitamin D deficiency? May not be the only. It's definitely better than not having any food with vitamin D, but getting it from food may not be enough. So it's very easy to supplement. But if you, again, my advice is always just get your levels checked, right? And then we'll know. You don't have to guess.
Yeah.
Just check it. You can actually check your level, and then you'll know exactly how much you need or what adjustments you need to do. Rather than
Steve, thank you for
flying
that
blind.
unbelievably thorough answer to that question.
You're welcome.
I'm going to pivot
Steve's
now.
such a ninja, man. He's such a
I know,
freaking
and he'll
ninja.
keep
It's
talking
like
if you don't
it's
cut him off.
Come on, that's a layup for me. I'm a doctor. I mean,
No,
come
it's
on.
fantastic. It's just
It
like,
was a dunk.
here's a question. Here's an answer. When does that ever happen? Oh my God, fantastic.
The Discord chat wanted to thank George for his work on Nexus, by the way.
Yes,
That was
George.
awesome work,
Wonderful
George.
job, George.
It was.
Oh, that's very nice.
Wow.
My
The glue
goodness.
that held Nexus together.
Oh, how
Hell
nice.
yeah.
And,
Thank you.
of course, a sparkling presence that just went all the way through the day. And I'm totally sincere. It was.
Oh,
We
thank you.
love having you,
I
involved with
love
our
being a part of
projects,
it.
George. You're just fantastic. And so the
That's
other
very
fun
sweet.
thing is, I know this may be obvious. We've probably said it before, but the fun thing is that we're also really good friends with George. And I just love working with people that I like, that I'm friends with. Obviously, the whole SGU project, I'm working with friends and family because, it makes it
You
more
have
fun
to.
for me,
Oh.
I didn't have to, believe me. In a
Well,
lot of ways.
think about like right now we're sitting here talking to friends. We met Pamela 15 years ago. I mean now I can't
Yes.
even remember.
Yeah, 15 years, 14
We've
years.
known you and
Order of
Fraser-
2008 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're friends with Pamela. Pamela's friends with us. Pamela's friends with a bunch of other people. Like we all became like this science and critical thinking community that we just, I just emailed Pamela out of the blue. I haven't talked to you in a couple of years. I saw you at DragonCon, a few years
Yeah.
ago.
Right.
Whatever. I email you. I'm like, hey, you want to jump on the live stream with us? She's like, yes. There was no like, oh, I haven't talked to you in a long time. It was like, yeah, fine. I'll do it. You know what I mean? Like, we're lucky because we got to become friends with all these awesome people. I feel lucky to be friends with people like you guys and to have access to these kinds of people. So keep
Here, likewise.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're just all lucky to be doing this. The meatballs are coming. That's number one. Number two, thank you, Pamela. Thank you, George.
Hey, can I do a quick plug for my next 13 songs?
Do it.
So every 2 weeks I do these shows
All right,
on
time's up.
YouTube.
Good night, everybody.
Only friends can do that, by the way.
No, so I just because there's a bit I can just really quick. So like every 2 weeks I do a show called 13 Songs with George Robb, and it's 13 songs all on a theme. So we've done the police, we've done songs that had parts of the body in the title, we've done songs that had colors in the title, and I want to see if you can guess the theme for episode 13 that's coming up. I'm going to give you
All right.
a hint. Here's my hint.
Hint. The Love
Naval.
Boat.
Things to do with the,
Airplanes. Flight.
Military songs.
Village People.
is that a
Anyone
He
marine
looks like
cap?
a pilot.
It's not a pilot. It's not a pilot. Think nautical.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
captain's hat.
Captain.
Admiral's
Gilligan's
hat.
Captain and
Island.
Tennille. Captain and Tennille.
Oh,
Okay,
Captain
that's very
Tennille.
close. We're going to do Yacht Rock. We're going to do Yacht Rock. Is the next.
I see,
What is
George.
Yacht Rock?
So, you don't know what Yacht Rock is?
Doobie Brothers.
Oh, Yacht Rock is Doobie Brothers. It's Steely Dan. It's
Oh,
this
that's a real
wonderful,
thing?
like-
Oh, okay.
It's a real
Yeah,
thing.
there's a
Oh,
whole
yeah,
channel
Google-
on XM rate.
Absolutely.
So
No,
what
it's
makes a
wonderful.
song yacht rock? What's the criterion?
So it's like early
Seals and
70s
Crofts.
to early 80s.
Yep.
Usually it's somewhat acoustic based, slightly more harmonically interesting. There's a mellow vibe to it usually. Harmonies, some acoustic aspects to it. So it's people like Boz Scaggs. There's a R&B influence, but it's more mellow than R&B.
Yep.
So yeah, Boz
I
Scaggs,
totally get that.
Kenny
Yeah, I get it.
Loggins,
Yeah.
Christopher Cross. Sailing is kind of the that is the
Is that
the
why
gold
it's yacht
standard.
rock? Because
That's
it's
why
sailing?
it's yacht rock. Yeah, it sort of basically
That's
that started
so,
it. So,
I can't believe I never heard that before.
I never heard
so
that.
yeah,
either.
so
Yeah,
a week
I know
from Friday,
that.
a week from today, we're gonna
Yeah, definitely go to see it.
And where
I've
would they
seen
see it? Where
most
would
of-
they see
my
Yes,
it?
where
YouTube
would
channel, my YouTube channel,
George
George
Robb,
Robb
yeah.
YouTube channel. 7 o'clock next Friday. 13 songs, all yacht rock. Just have your pina colada ready, and we're gonna have a
I
wonderful.
thought you were going to say
chill
something
time.
else. Holy shit.
Pamela, what do you want to plug?
Our Hangout-a-thon next October 24, 25, 36 straight hours of science
God
guests,
bless you,
giveaways, games, building an entire solar system, trying to raise funding to keep the science flowing.
Yes, I love it.
Perfect. Beautiful.
I want to talk to you the second you're done with that. I want you to call me so I can hear how stupid you are.
He wants to talk to you for an hour, 37th hour. It's a special, the special post show called the 37th hour.
All right, and I will leave you with this thought.
Wait. Where's that link, Pamela? What's the link?
Go to cosmoquest.org and you'll see a big old countdown timer. Click on that and learn everything you can and donate early. There's no reason to donate later.
Right. You can vote now and you can donate now.
Yes. Tax deductible.
That's right.
Cool.
So I'll leave you with this thought. Do something nice for someone in the next 24 hours. Somebody in your life. Somebody, just do something for somebody else. You'll feel better, they'll feel better, and the world will become a little bit better. We are so screwed with the world right now, and we can make a change just by doing things for people we care about. So that's your homework.
You know what, Jay? We're going to be fine.
I know, but right now,
This
in
too
the
shall
ebb and
pass.
flow of reality, we're in the fucking ebb. And the
Yeah.
ebbs suck.
But the flow's going to feel so good, Jay.
Right, but the flow can be facilitated by doing things nice for good people.
And vote.
Yes.
Vote.
Vote.
Vote. How many of you have already voted?
Vote.
I've
I
already
voted.
I can't. I live in Connecticut. There is
Not
no
yet.
early voting.
Yeah, there is,
Sure
Jay.
there is, yeah.
I live in
you have
Connecticut.
to apply for your absentee ballot.
Absentee
Jennifer.
ballot.
Are you
Jennifer
nuts?
voted.
You think I'm mailing in a ballot with this fucking thing going on?
Dropbox,
I am
right at Town
walking
Hall.
in. I'm
Town
gonna
Hall.
pull that arm so hard. I'm gonna break the fucking machine. I am voting
don't
in person.
have-
That
okay.
freak
How's
show
that
in the
anymore?
White House is not throwing my vote out a window. Fuck him. I'm going to vote in person.
There you
Good
go.
night.
Yeah.
You heard it from Jay.
That's it.
How about you,
All right.
Bob? Have you voted yet?
Well, I haven't.
Yeah, George, I voted.
See, dead people are voting.
Voting right now. That's right.
Yeah.
Good one.
All right, go out and vote, everybody. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Stay safe,
guys.
wash your hands, and wear your masks. Be safe.
Vote.
So long.
Skeptic's Guide to the Universe is produced by SGU Productions, dedicated to promoting science and critical thinking. For more information, visit us at theskepticsguide.org. Send your questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. And if you would like to support the show and all the work that we do, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide and consider becoming a patron and becoming part of the SGU community. Our listeners and supporters are what make
Okay,
It's
SGU.
so
super secret camera dog show. Hold on. There we go.
Adorable.
For anybody who's still
yeah.
stuck around, you're live now. There you are.
Get the puppy.
Oh, we're back
Look at the
on
puppy,
for
everyone.
Oh, we're back,
Yeah,
guys?
We're back on. Just
You
for a
have to do
second.
the
Oh
puppy
my
cam.
God, that's funny. I
Puppy
didn't think
cam,
you could
puppy
do that.
cam.
I would have had my dog come in here.
Bonus.
Oh.
Oh, one of my
Bonus
dogs
dog.
does that
All
to
right,
me
all right.
too.
I'm digesting
Right, all right,
myself.
that's
I
it.
literally taste the inside of my
all
stomach right
all
now.
right,
I
goodbye.
gotta go
All
eat.
right. We're really out this time.
I love everyone, but I gotta eat, man.
Skeptic's Guide to the Universe is produced by SGU Productions, dedicated to promoting science and critical thinking. For more information, visit us at theskepticsguide.org. Send your questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. And if you would like to support the show and all the work that we do, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide and consider becoming a patron and becoming part of the SGU community. Our listeners and supporters are what make SGU possible.